Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for this AI in 30 session. Today, we will be talking about creating presentations with a tool called Gamma. Gamma app is how they are calling it today. They've moved away from the AI tag because everybody's using it for a lot of their tools. Just a reminder, these AI in 30 sessions that you can find all of the recordings and you will be able to find this recording as well are hosted by the TLC. Our goal is to actually have this quick approach to the tools so you may see something that you may have a use for in your teaching and learning needs. So we are in the middle of season 2 already, so we're in a good place, and we've seen a number of tools by now. Today we are going to check Gamma, and I will quickly introduce what Gamma is, but we will spend time showing you around how Gamma works. But we're going to talk a little bit about what Gamma does, the generation capabilities that it has, and the editing capabilities. We will literally work on generating and editing a presentation with Gamma, and then we will just quickly at the end talk a little bit about what issues to consider on its use with any tool that we have. We are going to have things that are good practices and some things to watch out for. So let's move to our first introduction to Gamma AI. So we chose Gamma for a very specific reason. So Gamma is one, like many of the new tools, you can access by creating your own account with your email, or you can use your Google account and it connects like many other tools connect through your Google Mail, your Gmail. It's not required. So like you can actually do it with your account. I have like 3 Gamma accounts just for testing specifically. So I have one with my personal email. I have one with my Google account, and it's pretty easy to set up. It is self-described as an AI-powered content creation tool. And by content, they mean something very specific. By content, they mean presentations, documents, and websites. They also do social media, but we will talk about what that is through today. But also websites, take it websites as an easier way to navigate content that feels like a website, but it doesn't necessarily need to be a website with a complex interactions, which is what we are using when we access our UTHSC web mainly. It focuses on how to do these things quickly and efficiently, and it doesn't require you to have advanced graphic design skills. Although we will see that if you have some graphic design skills, are going to come very handy. But it works in a way that it helps you do the edits in a very, very controlled environment. So we'll see that in a minute. Basically, the basic uses is creating presentations, creating documents that are visually very engaging, sites or pages that work like websites that have easy navigation. So like those are things that you can do, and also materials. So everything that you can create with Gamma, you can actually bring and print out as a PDF or send as a file as well. So we'll see that momentarily. Gamma has a lot of different plans, and I'm not going to go through all the plans or prices. It's not my job to sell you the tool. But in the free plan, basically, you get 400 tokens, and you will see what that means today. But basically, a presentation of 10 slides will be 40. And that will include images generated with AI, and it will include your ability to actually do modifications to the presentation in different points, in different parts. So the basic free plan is phenomenal for you to actually try what a tool like this will mean. The higher that you go, the more capabilities you have. As always, consider these tools for what your needs are. If I was going to do these professionally and have my own business, and I'm doing presentations that I need, it may be worth my time to actually consider the Plus or the Pro plan. But for my needs right now, I think I can get like a lot from the free plan initially until I see if the tool really works for me or not. I can tell you that for me it does. So like I do some community work, volunteering, and part of that work is creating materials that are engaging for training volunteers and whatnot. And I think that this is a tool that is going to give me a lot for the Plus plan, which is the first one, which is not very expensive. When we mean content creation, like many other tools, you need to start thinking about where are you starting from. And Gamma was chosen for one reason. Many of the AI tools that we have today and that are phenomenal do not give you a lot of editing control in the process. You either control the prompting in the very beginning, so you need to become very good at prompting clearly what you need from the tool to do, and then you need to actually like sometimes struggle back and forth, or you generate certain kind of content like the text, and then you do some other things somewhere else. We did NotebookLM earlier and in this year, and we talk about how it's phenomenal. It can create presentation slides, but your ability to edit those slides is reduced to your ability to use Adobe products or to, be able to edit or substitute elements. Gamma gives you full editing control after it generates. So we will see that in a second. But you're going to start from either a prompt, like telling it what you want it to generate, pasting text in the box with your own outline, your own notes, your own existing content that you want to use, using a template or a layout that it already comes with some ideas for you on how to use it, or use a file or a URL that you can use to actually get it started from that file. I want to enhance this file, or I want to turn this file into something else. So those are that's the building blocks in the beginning. The second part that you're going to do is you're going to decide what you want to generate. Are you generating a presentation? Are you generating something that works as a web page? Are you going to do a document with it? Or are you thinking about a social media type of like sharing type of document? And the third part of that, once you work on the generation, will be to edit, to work it out, and have it ready for sharing. And sharing can be done in two different ways. You can either share it with a direct link where people can actually view. You can give other people the ability to comment, but also to edit. So for example, if you're thinking about using it with your students, you can actually open it for comments so you can keep track of your students interacting with the material. Or if you are working with your team, you can actually give it to, give access to part of your team to actually continue editing the same document. You can also embed. For that, you will need to have a platform that allows for you to use an embed code and then have these as a snippet, put it into the other page. So that is a lot of sharing options right there. For export, you can export as a PDF. You can have a PowerPoint, your presentation as a PowerPoint. We'll talk about of some of the things to look out there. Google Slides as another presentation potential, or each slide can become a PNG image format. So before we continue, and I start showing you in a second how Gamma AI works, we sent Gamma to our ITS team for vetting. We want to make sure that the tools that we are using or we are recommending are safe. They vetted this tool. This is a tool that they say we're good for the uses that you're planning to do. But that said, any tool, any AI tool that you use, and you are uploading documents or putting information in, has the same caveats. So you want to be careful not to use personal information. You want to be careful not to be using information that is proprietary, that you don't have the rights to share that way, or that contains students' names. That doesn't go away because the tool has been deemed secure. So make sure that you are always taking into account the safety measures that are true of any tool. So even if I'm using, like our own UTverse, I will be very careful to use personalized information there. So if I'm using a case data, I will be using just the symptoms or just the items that are not recognizable information to use there. Or if I'm using somebody's submission to an assignment to see how the tool can do providing feedback, or what kind of things I can do providing feedback with UTverse, I will make sure that the information of the person submitting is not there. So even in the safest of situations, I will still be responsible for the safety of the information. So keep that in mind, okay? Let's move to the next stage where we're gonna start talking about Gamma AI. So for a second, I'm gonna change what I'm sharing, And I'm going to share a browser so we can actually start looking into what Gamma does. So hopefully you all can see a browser window. In this browser window, basically, I have my dashboard. This is a new account for me. So basically, you can see different things in this dashboard. This is where you start your work from. You either create a new Gamma that it's going to ask you a series of questions. You can import documents from here, and you can enhance your content using adding images to your already created document. So imagine that I have a text document that I want to add images to share it as a PDF, a training guide, something like that. This would be a good way to do it. Or you can start creating from scratch with the AI. Here is where the different aspects of the tool are going to start. On the top right, you should see your your credits, and you initiate your free account with 400 credits. They never replenish. So, once you use them, you've used them. So creating a presentation of 10, they call them cards, slides, will be for 40 credits. And that will include some generated images. And then everything you do after that, like with AI, every newly generated image, any changes that you make with AI will consume credits, but you can also do changes yourself with their tools, and that will not be consuming any credits. So we start by deciding what we want to create and how we are going to create these. And, you can either generate from a one-line prompt in a few seconds, and we're going to do that. You can paste in your own text or your own, like information that you want it to use to create that. You can import a file or a URL and then enhance it, or you can create from a template. Today, for our time purposes, we are gonna, stay on the generate and paste in text, so you can actually see how those work. I'm gonna start with generate because it's gonna give me the kind of like general layout. So I'm gonna start here in the prompting, and because I am in the TLC, this is a very common theme for us. I'm gonna ask it to create a presentation about active learning in the health sciences. And this is my opportunity to prompt a little bit more. So I'm going to tell it a little bit about my audience. So target an audience, faculty in a health sciences university. Okay, so I'm just going to use this simple prompt. I could keep prompting. I could be very, very specific about what I want. But right now, I'm just showing you the capabilities of generation right out of the gate. So the first thing that it's going to do is going to create for us an outline and give us a series of choices. And this is another thing I really like about this tool. I get to make choices and be intentional from the get-go. So I get to see the outline kind of like develop. I can change things in the outline. If there are things that I know that I need there, I can change them. It's going to generate an outline of 10 cards from the cover, title, Active Learning in the Health Sciences, Transforming Education for Better Outcomes. I like the title. It came up with it. I like it. I may need to actually change it. So if I want to do that, I just come to the transforming learning for better outcomes. So I can do the changes in the outline here before any things are, any of the cards are created. Each one of these bullet points that you see here are going to transform in elements inside of those slides, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be always like a bullet pointed view. You will see that. So first thing that I will do is go through the outline. Does the outline match what I need? Is there anything I need that is not here? I can add more cards. If I add more cards and I go over 10, it's going to tell me, that in the free plan, I don't have that many cards. But I can also add cards later. So, if there's something is not here or you see it later and you say, you know what, I will split these between these and these. So it's going to be better to do it like that. You can do it at a later step. But here you can actually move things. You can say, I'm going to leave the overcoming the barriers for implementation. I'm going to move it to before the end. So I won't, I want to here instead of there. So I just rearrange the outline before anything is being created. And then I get to make some choices. So do I want the text per card to be minimal because I'm thinking about presenter slides? Do I want it to be very detailed? Do I want it to be extensive. So do I want my slides to be something potentially that I want to use as a document later on, or that I want to create as a website, kind of like exploration? There is more content there. So I'm going to keep it at concise because I'm looking for something that is not too minimal, but it's good enough for a presenter slide. Then I get to choose the visuals. These are themes, and there are more. You can see like up to 30 something themes, but it gives me kind of like what is my vision for the general feeling of the visual. So I like the dark, elements, so I'm gonna keep it here on the Mystique. Then it tells me what is the source for the images. If I have my own images, I can actually upload them. If I wanted to find stock images, I can tell it to find stock images. If I wanted to generate the images, I can keep it at AI images and graphics. Then what is the AI image model? If we had the Pro version and the Plus, I will get different models that are more powerful to generate images, but we are going to clip the auto select, so the tool uses the free plan. And then I get to use selection of art style. So either I go with illustration, photo, abstract, 3D, line art. I'm going to keep it at illustration. For me, it's one of the nicest ones. Some other people prefer photo to give it more realism. I find the photos require some more tweaking at the end. So I'm going to go with that. And then if I need to add extra keywords to my design, to the instructions, to the AI, I can add it here. I want high contrast. I want to be, minimalistic. I'm just going to leave it blank for now. And now I'm going to click generate. When I click generate, you're going to see in real time how the tool builds these blocks one after another. When I mean real time is it will be done under approximately a minute, but you will be seeing how the different cards are being created in real time. And everything that you see being created right now are blocks that can be edited individually, that can be changed. So if I don't like the distribution of these 4 blocks horizontal, I'm going to be able to make choices in a minute. Their editor is pretty good in doing these kind of things. I found I'm the kind of person that sometimes I like things in a certain way, and I have a vision of how that could be improved, and not having the ability to move things around easily kind of like drives me mad. But with this tool, I didn't have that problem. So as you see, it's first is respecting my choices. These were my choices of the black and pink, like selected colors. And now it's done. This was under a minute. Okay, so we're gonna go back and we're gonna see that now each one of these slides is a card. Not all the cards have the same sizing, which is one of the issues when you're exporting these to a PDF or to a PowerPoint. But that said, the transformation is not so painful that you can now make few changes when you have moved it and then have it in PowerPoint, including the images, etc. So as you see, now I have a 10 slides, 10 cards presentation on active learning. It contains all the elements, has made some choices. If I want to make the choice that I don't like this headline, I can change that. So each one of these things, active learning, health sciences, education. So I'm gonna make that change here. And that's my new title. I like it more like that, and I can make that change in a second. Each one of these blocks, it's gonna give me options for editing. So here I can edit a series of things, just like any word processing will give you options. Here I can add elements, I can change the type of text as it is recognized here. Also, because this tool uses headings, and uses, like standardized protocols for how these elements are, accessibility-wise, it's already taking decisions that we sometimes forget when we create a document, like using the right headings in progression. But imagine that I need to change this picture. I can change this picture by replacing it with another picture. I can change it by edit with the AI agent. So I want, this picture change to edit the image by making the mannequin less visually realistic. And that's something that I wanted to do. So I can give it the instruction, and now it's going to generate an edit of the image. Many times it generates two images to give me a choice if it kind of find a good edit. So now it has changed that, but it has also changed the style. You see, like not only the mannequin has been changed, and this is why all these tools get tricky when you ask it to generate that. So I can either keep that or I can go back to the original one if, I can live with this. One thing that I will recommend all of you is to kind of like start thinking, if you're a perfectionist like I am, one of the problems for me to use these tools is if I start making modifications, like what do I do, like if it's not perfect. So I've learned to actually think in terms of, is it good enough for my purpose? If I can live with it, if it's good enough, then I go with it. If I cannot live with it, then I know that I need to spend some time editing. Larry, when you ask if you generate these resources, so making them accessible, yeah, it's not a big deal because it is going to be accessible if you share it directly from Gamma. So people access a page and then they have all the accessibility elements because of they need to have it and they want to actually promote products that are. But if you, for example, download it as a PDF or as a PowerPoint, then you can check accessibility on that to see if the transformation has moved something around and then easily make it accessible because it uses a very straightforward system to put blocks of content, and that transfers very well. So that's what I found out so far. So imagine that there's a block like this. This is a 3 elements block that I may not like so much. So I may decide to change the layout. If I decide to change the layout, it's going to give me options here. So you see, this is one of the things I really like. If this is not the layout that I want, then I can go and, either choose boxes, choose, like the ones that we have here, choose alternative things. Once I change that, it's going to actually have to modify how is it dealing with the image, how is it doing that. But, like if I have images or not, it's going to depend on that. So I'm going to give it kind of like, I like this. So I'm going to do it like this, and it's going to change it according to the slide layout. So as you see, it hasn't moved everything on the slide. It has changed it how the boxes look like. It's good enough for me. So I'm going to keep going, to the next elements. So I get to this one and I've already used that one. So I like the consistency of using these boxes for a while until I get to this one, right? So I'm here. Let's select a different layout for this one. So again, it's going to give me blocks of suggestions and then all the boxes as options that it has, like, so I like these images, but I think I'm going to go with the round ones, and it's going to actually move things sometimes to adjust the elements. And if I don't like it, I'm going to need to live with that and make it smaller. And if I was like, that's not going to work for me, I'm going to go back to, like having it that big. This is why before it went with that. So let's go and keep it on this layout instead of having the horizontal one. So I'm going to I can keep going and I can keep editing all the elements that I have until I think it's a good enough for me. And then I can actually say, okay, so now we're going to go to sharing. I can also use the present, or seeing it in full screen to see how it will look like. So in a full screen, it will show me how is using these slides. Think about, like getting into sharing is going to be deciding how do I want to share it. So if I want to share it as something that people can collaborate with, then I need to add people by the names or have them added to my workspace. If I want to share it with the public, anyone with the link right now has no access. That's their default. And I like that because it forces you to be really, really specific. If I want everybody to view, I can actually just create a link, and I'm going to share the link in the chat. So right now, anybody with that link should be able to click on it and see the one page. In one page, you should be able to scroll down and see the presentation itself. If I want to export, I'm going to get all these options here, including one that says post directly to LinkedIn. If you've been in LinkedIn and you've seen these slides that you can slide side to side, that carousel style of slides, that's done in this way. So it already formats it so it will play well there. The only issue that I have with that, for example, is I'm testing these to create an alternative version of our resource pages for the TLC that will be easy to navigate, but it will preserve the links so people can link on the resources and read more or learn more from the original resources. So in the LinkedIn version, those links will not be working. It will basically create images of each slide and put it on that format. You can install fonts if the fonts are new, and then you can, like you want to use your own fonts. And then there are some limitations. So if you export to PDF, there are some things that are not be supported. And if you export to PowerPoint, some things will not be supported, like the gradient text, for example, is not easily supported when it goes there. So I'm going to export my presentation as a PowerPoint, and I'm going to share it with you so you can all see how it looks like. So it exports to PowerPoint, and some of these exports take a little bit longer, but as you've seen, it's under a minute, most of the work. So I'm going to stop. I'm going to open the presentation and stop sharing so I can share with you what it exported into PowerPoint. This is the same presentation you saw exported into PowerPoint. As you see, most of the content and the organization of the content has stayed. And now I have, editable boxes, including the icons. And I can replace pictures if I want to. So it basically has done an excellent work visually to transport it to PowerPoint. Not all the time is like that. I've done some presentations sometimes, that when I push the tool to certain organizations of the content, that PowerPoint doesn't take very well. But as you see, this presentation and what I had in Gamma, it's pretty close. And time-wise, the time that I will have spent the most for these will have been revising that the content is appropriate. If I uploaded my own content, if I have my notes and my breakdown, then I will not need to actually spend so much time, because it will use a lot of my content, just making some choices for, how much to put in. And I will have been able to edit that pretty quickly. So hopefully, I'm getting to the 12:30 mark. These gave you a good picture of what the tool can do for you. And I'm going to go back to the presentation to give you some quick tips to end today. This is a very good tool. I normally don't play favorites. So I always say that NotebookLM is one of my favorite tools because it does a lot of good things for teaching and learning in both sides. For the presentation making, which is something that we do a lot for communications, for presentations on a webinar, for things like these, I will say this is a great tool for us. But as always, it comes with a lot of things that, because it gives you a lot of control, I would like for you to be very intentional in using it. So make sure you curate your sources for the content and the format that you want the tool to use. Definitely, you can fine-tune your prompting. Once you've created your first presentation for a course, for example, and you know what you kind of want to go for, and you like the outlining and you like the kind of language, then make sure that you prompt for that you actually use that, and that you refine your prompting as you go. Be very intentional about what the learning value of what you have, you're doing is. It's spectacular visually. Antoine, my colleague, he's our media specialist. The first time he saw it, I wanted him to give me some, input coming from somebody that has his skill set, and he was, completely taken by surprise by the quality and the organization of content, which is something that sometimes I don't do very well. So be mindful about your exporting sharing options. So if you want people only to access it, that's a great thing. If you want to embed it, For example, if you want to embed it in Blackboard, it may need some fine tuning on the Blackboard side because you need to make sure, is it embeddable? Is it going to work well once you put it there? Maybe just sharing so people can access online the presentation is a much easier, or maybe download it as a PowerPoint so you can finish working on it on your own. It's a good way to bypass the 10 cards limit, although you can actually add more cards. In the finalized presentation, you can add more cards that you can use stock images and not have to generate new AI images with whatever tokens, or credits you still have left. Always check for errors and inaccuracies because this tool creates text boxes. I found it to make way less errors than when you are generating those as images. Text generated in images is something that many of the AI tools are still working through. And like NotebookLM has a problem on the infographic option. So always check for errors or inaccuracies. Check the outline. Is that the outline that you will use? If not, change that whole card into the bullet points that you think are the elements that are appropriate. And also with this tool, take advantage of the editing features that it has. It's impressive the amount of things that you can edit. And I like that control. I like that kind of control. So that's for today, our presentation on Gamma AI. Thank you for attending today to our session.